Here we go again, everybody. Hello and welcome, my friends and Pega partners from all over the world. We welcome you to this Navigating the AWS Marketplace edition of the Pega Partner Hour, which is a monthly webinar that provides Pega partners with support in the sales, technical, and industry domains. As a reminder, we do record these sessions. If you prefer not to be recorded, please feel free to drop from the call and you're welcome to watch the recording at a later time. Speaking of the recordings, the Pega Partner Hour archives are able to be found both on our YouTube channel and now they're on the Pega Partner portal. So you can always go back and watch anything that you've missed. Before we get started today, I wanted to make sure everybody out there knew that the call for Pega World speakers is now out. If you'd like to be a presenter at Pega World, now is the time. So please head over to pegaworld.com, click on the Become a Presenter link, and you can submit a proposal. Make sure you let them know I sent you. It's not going to help you at all, but it's good press for me. So please make sure you do that. In all seriousness, the call for presenters closes on October 10th at 5 p.m. So if you're interested, please go to pegaworld.com and do not miss that deadline. All right, today's lineup is fantastic. Starting things off is the incredible Mr. Aaron Passey. Aaron is a director in the Global Partner Management team, and he covers a number of Pega partners. Some of you out there know him personally. And then after Aaron, today's keynote is going to be presented by the one and only Mr. Brian Feinberg. Brian is a director of product management in the As a Service Experience division, which means today's presentation, much to Brian's dismay, is going to be an experience. All right, with those introductions out of the way, let's talk with Aaron. I've asked Aaron to come on today to present in what might become a recurring topic. It's what I'm calling Practical Blueprint. So everybody knows Blueprint. It's our powerful new software. But for a lot of us, it's become something that we're doing just because we've been asked to. We're going on and we're doing them almost in a way like when ChatGPT first came out, you'd go out and you'd ask it to write a letter to your friend, or you'd ask it to clean something up, or you'd ask it for, I don't know, a menu item with the 6 things that are in your cupboard. And then maybe you got bored about it. But if the magic has worn off for you, it means maybe you're not quite paying attention. Similar to the chat GPT, where maybe someone does a presentation, you say, wow, how did you do that? And they say, well, I threw some things in and I uploaded some videos and I put in some PDFs, and you say, I didn't even know you could do that. And part of that's probably because you maybe went through the initial stages, but you didn't keep up with this. And what I'm going to show you today, really, I'm not going to show you, Aaron is going to show you, is a presentation that I recently got to see Aaron give. And it was just such a good presentation and such a practical use of Blueprint. I've asked Aaron to come on and show everybody exactly what he did. So with that, Aaron, floor is yours.
Appreciate that, Randy. Honored to be here. Looking forward to the session here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Just let me know if you can see it.
I've got it.
All right. So what I'm on this mission across our partner ecosystem to rethink the business development and RFP response strategy using by blueprinting. And really that's to blueprint RFPs as a means to sprint to zero during the proposal and response activities. Automated mapping of requirements to our solution capabilities, both Pega and the partners, and creating the technical architecture that is built into those approaches and methodologies that our partners deliver to the customer. And what I hope to demonstrate is how Blueprint enables a more strategic and data-driven approach to capturing business. Instead of just responding to the RFPs, Blueprint helps teams analyze requirements, map capabilities, and proactively position solutions for maximum impact. And it's a shift from reactive proposal writing and BD activities to proactive business development. And so what does that look like? Let's take a look. We're all faced, both commercially and federally, with RFPs, proposals to our customer. And what that looks like here is, I'm taking a government example, but it's a use case that is applicable across the ecosystem. It's an ITSM solution. We're all familiar with ITSM. This is in pre-award, so it would be a target-rich opportunity for our partners to BD. Perhaps our commercial partners have customer intimacy that an RFP is going to be coming out in an ITSM space. And part of this rethinking, reimagining is reimagining Pega's solutions and capabilities. What I would like to do here is, on the government side, we have access to RFP documents and solicitations, and here's a document real quick. So let's take a look at that, what that document looks like. Let's pull this. Let's pull this document over here. Let's take a look at some of the requirements, right? So they're looking for a unified COTS off-the-shelf solution. It needs to integrate into third-party applications. Has some industry, we'll call it industry level compliance that needs to occur. Looks like they're looking for workflow management and data management, and needs to be accessible by user. Looks like they're looking for workflows in incident, change, knowledge, problem, and service level management to start. And we'll start there with our blueprint. Let's take a look at some other things. So system user interface, we know that they're looking for that unified solution. It's going to be they're looking for some knowledge management, IT service desk requests, cases submitted. It later goes on to talk, it actually talks about the footprint of this application is going to be used across 265 different locations worldwide. The volume that this system's going to need to push through is about 200,000 tickets a day. At peak volume, about 30,000 per hour. So let's take this. It's an interesting use case. Let's just take this and see. Let's RFP to blueprint and see if we can sprint to zero with this. So what I'd like to do here is, when we go into blueprint, is create a blueprint. I'm going to call it government.
And Aaron, this is just, you pulled this right off of Gublin, right? Like, this is not anything you had to read through and pull all this information out. That's the document you pulled right down from them, right?
Correct. Yep.
So very, very easy lift.
Yep. Very easy lift. Let's go ahead and upload that asset real quick. I'm just going to drag and drop if that's okay. Now, most of our partners are familiar with the center out architecture. And when we talk about the unified platform and Pega's unique differentiator to other platforms that might do ITSM that may be built on from the bottom up, or some of the competitors that are built from the front down. We advocate that center out architecture. And so one of the things that you'll see here when the customer is looking for a unified platform is Pega's unique ability to make the core changes in our platform and have that update all the channels and also update all the various systems of record. One thing, so let's take a look here. So we have our cases that our workflows will be built out of. We know that it's going to be an ITSM solution. We know that it's Department of State. Here's our data objects and the various personas that they called out as access level. So let's just go ahead and go through this process real quick. So we're going to be analyzing the requirements, pulling ITSM industry best practices, building out workflows, architecting the data models, and tailoring the various personas. As this goes through, so one of the couple things that come to my mind with ITSM is usually there's a call center, usually there's service desk agents, L1, L2. Usually there's L3 involved, and so I think about like a call center solution, a ticketing system, et cetera, built into this. So let's take a look at the case types here. It did a pretty good job at defining what these case types are. let's go ahead and let's move through the process here in Blueprint. While this is going and architecting that center out architecture and building out life cycles, I'm going to flip over to an advanced stage of this. So one of the things that the requirement called out was automated process, so an automated workflow. And so when you look at this incident management case and the workflow associated with it, I put human involvement at the beginning and I put human involvement at the end, and that'll be relevant. Everything else, I kind of built in some automation and some agents and going to pull this and resolution there. So pretty cool automation built into that. Let's go ahead and walk through this process real quick. We've got our data objects. Now I have particular client intimacy about Department of State. I know they have AWS. I know they run systems of record in SAP, ServiceNow, Salesforce, and Oracle, and build those in. One thing I'll call out, they did call to action a user account. That's going to be our user access into the system and the experience that each individual persona will have. Our various personas, and let's take a look. So this is really when we talk about sprint to zero and we talk about proposals, the biggest thing that I want to talk about is that this is an architectural document that can be incorporated down to the field level into a technical response or an RFP response. And so I want our audience to really kind of think about not only are we sprinting to zero with the application, but we are expediting our proposal responses and the technical architecture of not just telling the customer what we're going to do, but showing them what we're going to do is beautifully done by Blueprint. So let's take a look at this application. Here's my workflow. Here's all the fields associated with it. Let's take a look at this application and see what it'll do. We're on incident management, and we're taking a look here. We have, let's take a look at the dashboard. Some of these cases here. All right, so it's looking pretty good. Here's our incident management, all of our cases. Let's take a look at the workflow associated with one of these. Let's actually work a ticket and see if it is a good representation of what we want the application to do. So
let me interrupt you for a minute, just,
Sure.
so everybody is on the same page, right? We are getting all of this from the one piece of information you pulled down offline from the Department of State's request, right?
Sure.
So, but the thing I think it's important to note is that even though it's building this all out, it's using dummy data at this point, right? It's not real data. We don't know what their data is, but it's giving a really great presentation and a really good representation of what this is going to look like. The data itself is going to be different. The underlying data is what they put into it, but here is what the process is going to look like for them. Okay. So I don't want anybody to be confused. We're not putting data in. We're just putting dummy data in so that they can see this and how it would work.
It's building out a MVP based on the RFP and meeting all of those requirements. And yes, it is using simulated data. But let's see if the workflow worked the way that I set it up to do. I had human interaction on step 1, human interaction on step 5. So initiate and final review, conduct final review. Let's go ahead and work this ticket. I see it. I've got all the information here. I have knowledge articles to review. I have, we can scroll over and take a look at and pulse notes of the case. We can look at just summary details. But let's go ahead and actually work this. Let's initiate this one, my human interaction. Oh my goodness, look at that. It just automated steps 2 through 4. And I now have resolution. I need to take a look at this. And let's go ahead and just submit that. And we just concluded that particular ticket. So as we think about some of the requirements in ITSM and service desk management, inevitably we need self-service. A self-service option. Inevitably, we need a mobile solution. Inevitably, we need L1 support. So call center needs to be integrated. So when we talk about a unified platform for workflow automation, resolving incidences or cases, Blueprint does a beautiful job at demonstrating that. But the cool part, and what I want partners to kind of take away with, is the architectural document to show a customer instead of just telling them is performed for you right here. So your sprint to zero with the Blueprint application preview, and your documentation to support that blueprint is built out here. And as you're going through it with your technical teams, you can build these workflows out as complicated or as simplistic as possible to demonstrate to the customer.
Well, and Aaron, the other thing that really takes me on all of this, you don't have to be an LSA, right? You don't have to even have a business architect. Like, you can put this through. It's going to build everything you want. You can go in and change personas and change workflows if the people tell you that they need something different. But more than anything, it's going to give you an opportunity to see something that you think the Pega software can solve a problem. And now you have a real reason to go talk to the person instead of just showing up and say, hey, we'd like to take a shot at this, or we think we can fix it by using Pega. You can actually show it to them. And the fact is, there's not many people who can go in and show a presentation like this in real time. I mean, we're doing this in real time. This is, you could either do this and walk in with it and it will take you no time to do it, or you could do it right in front of the customer and they're seeing this in real time, how long it takes Blueprint to put this all together.
You're absolutely right. The awesome part is all this BD capture work, proposal writing work is expedited by leveraging this, and then going into the next phase of winning a proposal is oral presentations at the customer. What a wonderful tool to have to present the solution to the customer. And then you get into time to value to the customer, creating efficiencies on delivery. Let's say you win the opportunity, taking the JSON file from Blueprint, moving it over to App Studio, you're 40-50% built based on just doing a proposal response. And so sprinting to zero is using RFPs and blueprinting is the message I wanted to share today.
Aaron, that's fantastic. So listen, I know we can't talk about the end customer, nor do I think we want to call out the particular partner specifically, but the presentation you showed me that you did for your partner on an opportunity that you knew they were working on, and you went and you pulled down the information and you did this and you presented it specifically to them. Do you mind sharing with everybody what they said to you? Do you know what I'm talking about? What they said after you got their, I mean, you got done the presentation and they stood up and said,
I do. I do know what you're talking about. Thanks, Randy. So part of my role as a partner manager is to enable my partners, and part of that is to help the P&L owners, the account owners, understand when they're sitting in a CIO's office what the capability of Pega really is. And we're not thought of in certain scenarios where Pega actually could be an ideal solution. And so in one of the sessions of showing a P&L owner, the same demo that I just showed here, his growth or capture sales lead was in the room, and he said, Aaron, ironically, we're working on that RFP that you just happened to demo this with. And I've had my technical team working on this for the last 2 months. So what you did in 17 minutes is wildly impressive.
yeah, I mean, and that's right from the customer. In fact, it wasn't just any person. It was the guy who was leading the project that had been working on it with his team, right?
Yep.
And so for me, that's why I wanted everybody to see this, right? Like, again, you go back to ChatGPT and you say, hey, write me a funny letter in olden Elizabethan, right? And it's funny, but this is how you should be using Blueprint. This is just a great way to have an idea, have some information, because at the end of the day, we're here for just a few couple things. And some of those things are to solve problems with Pega software, to sell new licenses, and then to deliver that project. That's what we're here for. And it makes everybody a little bit of money in the process and solve some problems for your customers. This is a great way to show them how to do it. And Blueprint is just a great way when used in that manner with you and your customer to just hit a home run in a very quick amount of time. You didn't need 2 hours to do this. I mean, we're under 10, 15 minutes at this point when we're talking about this.
Pretty impressive. Yep.
Yeah, Aaron, it's really thinking outside of the box, but I really appreciate you jumping on and showing everybody this.
My pleasure, Randy. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, we'll have you again.
Thank you, sir.
Really just a great presentation and a great idea. So thank you, Aaron. Really, really appreciate you coming on. So if you're paying attention to anything that Pega is talking about, you're going to see them talk about Blueprint. And the other big thing you're going to hear them talk about is the things that are happening with our new partnership with AWS. We've had a long-standing relationship with AWS, but we have a new partnership and agreement with them. And because of that, I've asked Brian to come on and talk a little bit about the best practices in navigating the AWS marketplace. So with that, let's shift to the reason for this season today, Mr. Brian Feinberg. Brian, welcome to the hour.
Hey, Randy, thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate you jumping on. And I imagine you're going to have a lot of things to say that's going to help a lot of people with a lot of questions. So I'm going to let you jump right into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be hard to follow the fun and creativity of Blueprint, but with AWS Marketplace, but we'll do our best. So let me share and let me know when you can see the screen.
Not quite up yet. Just a second.
Okay.
There you go. You're sharing.
All right, great. So I think Randy gave a great lead in. We've been working with AWS for a long time. We have, of course, signed a more strategic collaboration agreement with them. And as a result of that, we're applying more effort to what we're doing within the marketplace. And that's what I want to talk about today.
Awesome.
So I wanted to give you a little bit of a primer or a bit of a backstory on what Pega has been doing in the AWS marketplace, because I think it may be surprising to a number of the people on the call that we did our first AWS marketplace transaction in 2021. So, over the last 4+ years, we have significant experience that we've gained through working through the AWS marketplace. And I wanted to start first and sort of talking about why we made the investment that we did and sort of in 2021 looked at the marketplace as a way to help our clients, to help them transact better in purchases of Pega. And I think the primary reason, what we were hearing a lot in 2021 and even up until today, was that our clients, there was a lot of overlap between our clients and the spend that they had, the committed dollars that they may have made to AWS, and how that could overlap with purchases of Pega, and predominantly in purchases of Pega when we're leveraging Pega Cloud, right? So when our clients have made multi-year commitments to AWS, and of course many of them have, they oftentimes have the ability to leverage those existing dollars to purchase things to the marketplace. And because Pega is deployed, or Pega Cloud is deployed exclusively on AWS, that allows them to draw down their spend. And that's similarly true. The rules are similarly true when you're transacting through the GCP marketplace, which are also available through as well. So that's one of the sort of key benefits that our clients were driving us towards. We'd like to make our spend, we'd like to make our purchases through the AWS marketplace to be able to access these existing dollars. One of the other things that we heard, and then sort of AWS was telling us, our clients were telling us, is that the overall procurement process, that's always an area of friction. Procurement, sort of the logistics of all that whole approach. When you go through the marketplace, it leverages sort of an existing buying process that our partners and our customers are used to, and they were able to sort of transact that existing vehicle in a much more simplistic way. So that was very helpful for us in speeding up deals. And you see that here where, AWS says that, you'll see a 66% sort of time savings when you look at procurement efficiencies when you're transacting through the marketplace. And then maybe to a lesser extent, but it's also very beneficial, and I'll talk more about it later on. But when our clients are buying Pega Cloud capabilities and the whole suite of Pega solutions through the AWS marketplace, that entire transaction shows up on a single bill. So you think about a customer who leverages AWS and they're buying compute resources and storage and databases and all that stuff, and they're paying that bill as they would either on a monthly basis or however their standard exists. And a transaction for a marketplace item like Pega Cloud and Pega Cloud capabilities will show up on that single bill and be transacted and paid to the same way as this broader AWS marketplace bill that may cover across the entire enterprise organization. So those are the sort of core reasons why we got into this world in 2021, and we've seen significant benefits in doing so over time. So I wanted to give you a little bit of where we started. I talked about 2021 and then where we are today with our portfolio of listings across the clouds. So in 2021, we had one listing, and this listing very much exists today, and we transact a lot through it over time. But we started small, if you will. We didn't have a very transparent pricing mechanism. So the Pega Cloud listing that you see on the left-hand side was very focused on private offers. And what private offers are from a simplicity perspective is we just wanted to be able to transact the same sort of custom order schedules that we do for all of our customers today when we don't transact through the marketplace, but just doing it through AWS. So there was no transparency to our pricing. It very much followed the similar models that we have today. We also didn't, make any forays into consumptive rate cards or consumptive pricing. And what I mean by that is the ability to, buy some set of capabilities. So for example, buy 1 million cases of Pega, and then on the 1 millionth and one case, pay a number, right? A transactional number for each additional case going forward. So we didn't have those capabilities, okay? But even still, the listing offers great benefit to our clients, and we transact a lot through that vehicle, and we will continue to do so. And it's also available on AWS and GCP. So I think in some respects, it's a bit of a differentiator for Pega. In 2021, the competitive landscape of organizations that look like Pega didn't have marketplace solutions, right? I think we were by and large the first of our type to really deliver through that vehicle. Today, that is not the case. You'll see a lot of our comparable organizations and our competitors in the AWS marketplace delivering their capabilities. But still today, from a AWS and GCP perspective, because Pega Cloud delivers itself in a multi-cloud kind of way, for those organizations that made investments in GCP and have those significant commitments, we're able to, offer them the ability to leverage those spends, whether it's AWS or GCP, and that still keeps us in a differentiated kind of view. So that was 2021 and the things that we have today, but we've expanded that portfolio a lot over time. Okay, so today we have 4 listings, but predominantly I want to speak about the one that came about most recently, which is Workflow Automation Accelerated. Okay, so it's sort of a significant departure from what our previous listings might have looked like. And first amongst those is what we call transparent pricing. And I'll get into it a little bit as we go into the next slides, but you're able to see a rate card of sort of, dollar amounts, case volumes, and an overage case volume for each one. And I talked about consumptive, but in the fact that we weren't doing it before, but today we are in the Workflow Automation Accelerated listing. Not only can you buy sort of these minimum commitments of cases, but as you go and the business grows and the workloads grow, the use cases grow, you can pay consumptively as you go forward with very transparent pricing. And again, the billing and the rate structures, all of that is dispersed back through the marketplace and onto that sort of single bill that we discussed early on that are a benefit to our clients. And then, like I talked about those private offers, very sort of, traditional kind of contracting vehicle. Workflow Automation Accelerated is available as a public offering. So what that means is that clients can go into the AWS marketplace, find this listing, and transact to the click of a button. Pega will receive that order, transact it, and deliver the capabilities that that client ordered in a very streamlined and efficient way. So very excited about those new capabilities. It brings us very much into the SaaS consumptive kind of ecosystem, and we're proud to be a part of it. So what does the listing look like? And I should be very clear. If you go to the AWS marketplace today, you will find this listing. It's publicly available. And I realize that the slide is a little busy, but on the left-hand side, I'll start with what comes in the workflow automation accelerated offering. So you're going to get all of the great platform capabilities, the ability to interact with that via DX API, all the reporting capabilities and so forth. But it's also bundled with quite a few of our generative AI capabilities. So for example, autopilot for assisted development, automate for truly automating work in a material way, um, coaches for AI assistance when you're in the context of a workflow, and then analyze, which is largely a chat with your data from an insights and reporting type of capability. So all those new capable, powerful Gen AI capabilities are included within this single offer. So what does the offer look like from a pricing and delivery perspective? Again, very transparent. It sort of comes in two flavors, if you will. One that looks at a year-based commitment, and then one that looks at a multi-year, a 3-year type commitment. So I think when we were talking about this listing, we wanted to bring it to market. We wanted to make sure that there was an entry-level vehicle, the ability to start small. And so we have that kind of capability with a 120,000 case per year offering, starting at $150,000, and then a clean and simple overage case price that you see on the right hand side at $1.25 a case. And then you see the progression as we go forward. You know, just basic, cloud economics. The more commitments you make, the lower the case price as you go forward. And then the 36 months follows the same kind of model, right? You get to the case volumes, but you also get to cheaper economics when you're going on a per case basis. The only thing that we did consistently, even if you go between 12 and 36 months, is that we kept the overage case price very consistent between the two. So as you go over, you'll continue to pay those rate cards for each additional case. But I think what we're really saying is that we've simplified the transactions. We've created very transparent vehicles for our clients to purchase Pega to the AWS marketplace, and they can do so with a single click of a button, right? No negotiating of contracts, very streamlined pricing and an offering.
Brian, if they go over, do they have
Yep.
the ability to add mid-year or mid-commit if they either expand their business or expand their
Yeah.
platform? Okay.
That's a great point. So I think a good example would be, let's say that you're in that 120,000 case per year kind of model, and then you start growing beyond that, and then you're paying that $1.25 a case. But let's say that you have internal projections, or you're seeing where the sort of the puck is going in the overall workload, and you're saying, well, we're easily going to exceed 250. We're probably going to get into that 260 range, right? And I think that's getting to your point. A client can absolutely come to Pega, midterm, whatever it happens to be, and increase to that larger sort of minimum commitment at the 250, get the lower rate, and continue in that way.
And that will keep them on their original cost basis date, like the 12 months, or does that start a new 12-month period?
It would start a new 12 months.
Perfect.
Yep.
That's good
It
to
would
know.
re-up the commitment, but it would get them into a lower sort of transactional fee on a case basis. Yes.
All right,
Okay.
Brian, we have while we're here, we got let's see
Okay.
if this might not be yours. We might have to get back on this one, but the question comes in, how does the available products marry up to what's available in Pega Cloud for Government?
It's a good question. So the marketplace listings today, at least the one I'm talking about here from a workflow automation accelerated perspective, is not available in Pega Cloud for Government today. We do have a more traditional Pega Cloud for Government listing that is transact more similarly to the one that I mentioned that was started in 2021, the more private offer, schedule-based, negotiated kind of terms arrangement. We don't have WFAA for the government just yet.
Okay, great. And then the question, you got a couple questions coming in, Chris, Brian, sorry. So you're in
Sure.
the hot seat.
Okay, good.
How is the development and testing platforms, how are they charged?
So all of that is within what you're seeing here. That's a great question. So if you think about how Pega typically refers to an SDLC, we usually refer to them as a route to live. So for example, our typical route to live will come with a dev environment, a staging environment, and a production environment, a 3-environment route to live. That is bundled within what you're seeing here. So each subscription to a workflow automation accelerated will get you one of those routes to live.
Awesome. And then we've got one more. Before we jump on this one question, I want to make sure people know, we had a couple blueprint questions that we skipped by. We're going to come back to them, Brian, when you're done, just so we don't confuse the two conversations, but we'll come back to those blueprint questions. Some people had put in the Q&A.
Yeah.
Next question though for you is this just for platform? Are the pricings different if you are using different frameworks or strategic apps and solutions?
Yeah, so I think, and I'm going to touch on it a little bit later in sort of the future state slides as we go forward. Right now, this is focused very much on platform and the capabilities that you see here today, okay? As we go forward, you will see more accelerated offerings where, for example, CS and CDH and sales automation will come into the portfolio, and they will have listings of their own where you'll see, instead of workflow automation accelerated, you'll see customer service accelerated, as an example. So that is coming, and I think over the next 6 months or so, we will see those begin to roll out.
Great, thanks, Brian.
Mhm.
We're caught up on questions.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so I wanted to give a little bit of a view into the marketplace buyer experience, and then the last slides after these will focus on sort of what it means to our partners and probably the thing that everyone will be most interested in, but we'll try to get through these pieces of it very quickly. I talked about the consolidated billing advantages of existing in the AWS marketplace, and this will be true for us. And as we go into the slides talking about the partner journey side of this, solutions that you may elect to deliver to the AWS marketplace, maybe what is typically called in AWS nomenclature as a professional services offering, can be transacted in the same type of way. Okay, so if you're delivering to the marketplace, when you get when transactions occur, like you see on the bottom version of this, and certainly we'd hope our deals will be larger than 10 cents, but these SaaS contracts appear on the same marketplace bill. The additional usage charges appear on the same marketplace bill. So, I think one of the things that we found interesting and enjoyable about this whole thing is that the whole framework of collecting, right, the collections process, because it's handled by AWS, is vastly simplified because of this single bill kind of approach. Okay, and then our clients enjoy it because they're able to pay through what is probably a very large estate of AWS purchases, and then layering in the things that they do with Pega, or layering in the things that they do with Mongo, or any number of the marketplace vendors that exist out there, happens in a simple way with a consolidated bill. And I should apologize that the sort of how I blurred out the images doesn't look that great, but what I wanted to really hit on in this view is that when a client is in the AWS marketplace framework and they are subscribing to multiple vendors, and that's sort of what you're seeing here in these different line items, okay? And you'll see, transaction a service start date, a service end date. These may be Pega Cloud, they could be a professional services listing, which may be a partner offering that we'd be talking about here, or any number of their other services. They get these dashboards for being able to monitor and manage all the subscriptions that they have in place across their cloud estate, to be able to reconcile it, understand where renewals are coming, and be very purposeful about how they manage these subscriptions that are very critical to operating their business. All right, getting into the final slide in terms of what does it mean for Pega partners. And I think the big thing to say right out of the gate is that any Pega partner today can position Pega for workflow automation to new or existing clients as it is, right? So I talked about that existing workflow automation accelerated listing being very purpose-built, an existing contract framework that doesn't need to be redlined or viewed. It can sort of be off the shelf and delivered to our clients, okay? But I think the thing that's really exciting for us, and hopefully very exciting for the people on this call, is that the next layer of the sort of flower that you see on the right-hand side is all the unique solutions and intellectual property that our partners can bring to the table on top of what workflow automation accelerated is. Okay, so these could be all sorts of functional capabilities built on top of Pega that allows our clients to sort of accelerate their journey, simplify, add more capabilities, make the overall solution more robust. Um, that's where the huge benefit of all this becomes. And those solutions and intellectual property, just so that I can sort of tie it back to what I said before, can all be delivered through AWS Marketplace as these professional services listings. Okay, and that's really powerful. So, you could think about a world where a transaction would be, a customer goes and buys some fantastic off-the-shelf capability through the AWS Marketplace from one of our partners, purchases Workflow Automation Accelerated because that solution set is dependent on this other listing, and sort of off they go in their Pega journey, Pega and Pega partner journey. In addition to solutions at IP, it can also be around implementation services, right? So workflow automation, accelerated licensing, and you're building transformational roadmaps, better starting points, and the ability to sort of rapidly accelerate time to value for these clients as well. So I think those are the parts that become really interesting in the marketplace economy, bringing all that together in something that is really transactable in a simple way and out in the open for anyone to build and offer for. And then I think the final bullet, and I'm not giving it probably maybe as much justice as it deserves, but and hopefully some of you are already familiar with it, but there is a concept of map funding from AWS, and there's I think 4 or 5 stages of map funding, but particularly in the sort of early discovery kind of phases, our partners can sort of request map funding and have a pool of dollars available to them to simplify these journeys as well. So I think the overall portfolio, when you look at what AWS is able to give us from these these dollars or these pools of funding available through map, a very transactable solution in Pega Workflow Automation Accelerated, and then fantastic solutions in IP and go live services from our partners, builds a really compelling story, all delivered to the AWS Marketplace that's transactable, easy to click and buy, and makes clients ready to go in a simple and easy way.
Brian, that's awesome. I two things. One, we've got a question that came in that goes back a slide, but
Okay.
I think I might be able to answer it, but I'm gonna let you just in case I'm not right.
Okay.
The question Robbie's asking us, any upgrades during the year would come with no charge.
That's
And I
correct.
guess
Yeah,
so.
similarly
Yeah,
true for anything in Pega Cloud, because WFAA and what we're talking about here is delivered through Pega Cloud. All of those upgrades and capabilities are delivered, in our standard offering.
that's great. And then what I want to add into this, I think, some of this for some of our partners are so new, right? Some of our partners aren't really working on the AWS marketplace, which is why I suspect a lot of them are listening, and they may or may not have a customer that's buying through AWS marketplace. And I don't know if you have the expertise, but we're going to talk about this more in future episodes of the requirement that people have who make commitments to AWS on their buy down. And especially at this time of year, at the end of the year, they've made $1 million commitment and they've spent 700,000. They're going to have to buy something. And it's a great time to go in
That's
and
right.
try to buy this. So you're familiar. If you want to explain it much better than I will, you can.
Yeah,
Because
no,
I'm not sure everybody knows that.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that is, it's not exclusive to every AWS contract, but by and large, the majority of contracts that someone may sign with AWS in terms of these enterprise commitments are sort of use it or lose it commitments. So you gave a great example. I subscribe or I commit to spending $1 million. And then throughout the course of the year, in terms of my consumptive actions, I'm buying compute, I'm buying storage, I'm using Lambda, I'm doing all the things that I'm using their generative AI capabilities, right? And I consume, in your example, $700,000 worth of capabilities. Well, that shortfall is lost in these contracts. So what organizations will will do in these cases is they will look for solutions that they may be able to buy through Marketplace, particularly those that are SaaS solutions like Pega that are deployed exclusively on AWS or 100% on AWS, to draw down that spend. And in effect, maybe from a mental perspective, that purchase becomes free, right? Because those dollars were lost, and now I'm getting great software capabilities and solution capabilities for the dollars that I, had in that shortfall situation.
Yes. So, Brian, unrelated to you, but it's going to be something you and I talk about in the future, really, is my friend and partner Amir asked a question about being able to share this recording. And so, for everybody, if you don't know, again, and to Amir to answer your question earlier here in the question and answer, all of these recordings are put up on the best place to watch them, frankly, is on the Pega portal, right? If you go to pega.partner.com, excuse me, partners.pega.com, and you go under the web stuff, and you can find a listing that will show you all the Pega Partner Hours, and you can watch this at any time. Anybody can log in. And if you're familiar with some of the requirements of your partner, you need to have X many people that are active, and this will consider them active if they go in and click on that and watch this. So that's the best place to watch it, is in the partner portal, for a number of reasons. You can also, we throw them up on a YouTube channel, but you need a link to do that, which is typically in my signature block of my emails. But the reason I bring that up, not only to answer Amir, but Brian, for you, I think this is going to be one of the most replayed episodes that we've had, because this is just going to become more and more important for people as they realize just what it is and just how many of our customers are on AWS's marketplace, and the ability to buy this in tandem with us in Pega. I just think people don't have that in their natural sales motion yet, which is really why it was so important to have you come on today.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think the marketplace in AWS, and as we expand more and more into GCP, we have a subset of the listings there today. The capability there and what it brings to our customers in terms of either drawdown or simplicity, and the ability to sort of connect our solutions with our partners is going to be really compelling.
Yeah. And again, we've been cloud partners and business partners with AWS for a long time. I mean, it's not a new relationship.
No, it's more than 10, 12 years old at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, but the most latest news is really just accelerating that partnership and doing it in a way that nobody else has ever really done before. So it's going to continue. So I keep saying, don't sleep on Blueprint. Don't sleep on this AWS stuff, because it's really going to expand your sales capability, particularly in the end of years with what we were just talking about.
Absolutely.
All right, Brian, I don't think we have any more questions that have, oh, wait, no, yes, we have. Will this be available on GCP as well in the future?
Yes, there is plans for this in the future, and there is the sort of mention down in that sort of star. There is a single listing available today on the GCP marketplace, which is the sort of traditional listing that I talked about in the context of 2021 and what we've been doing for a long time. So I don't want to stop short of the idea that there is the ability for our clients to transact today through the GCP marketplace for Pega Cloud and draw down their committed spends. Now, it's not tied exclusively to what we're doing with Workflow Automation Accelerated. There isn't the sort of transparent and consumptive pricing models, but that vehicle does exist today, even if it's a little bit more limited.
That's great. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Brian, we also have, all right, one more question. That's a interesting question. How does this affect, and how does Pega platform support work? I assume they're talking about when you're integrating AWS and the purchase.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the easiest thing to say is that nothing from a support perspective changes when clients transact through the marketplace. From a support and operations perspective, everything still comes to Pega, or if there's a relationship with our partners where they're maybe offering some sort of tier 1 or tier 2, whatever sort of vehicle that looks like, that will remain consistent in our transaction through the marketplace.
That's great. All right, Brian, I think we've given them as much as they can handle. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I want to ask you about, is that a swordfish behind you? Is it a marlin?
It's a marlin. It's a marlin, yes.
And is that art or caught?
That is metal art. It's sort of like an inspiration for me. I've been trying to catch a marlin for a long time. I haven't gotten there yet, but it reminds me that I'm still focused on it.
Well, I'm a ways away from this, but as you know, my last name is Marcin as opposed to Marlin. And my
Yeah.
dream as a kid was always to have enough money to buy the Florida Marlins and then
Oh,
change the name to the Marcins. So I'm going to do that with the
okay.
fish too.
Well, with their current record, maybe they're on a discount. So anyway,
There you go. There you go. All right. Before we close up, Brian, thank you very much. I'm going to ask Aaron to jump back on, and I want to with him tackle the couple questions that we didn't hit. There really could be a little bit longer question there, but the first question is, what data security measures are in place when we upload documents into Blueprint? And I was texting Aaron on the side and see if he wanted to jump back in and help answer that question. I can answer that a little bit too.
Yeah, so Pega Gen AI Blueprint, it's built with enterprise security as its foundational principles. So a couple things to note about Blueprint. The prompts, there are no prompts that are stored in the LLM service, that no AI training or user generated blueprints. And the complete data encryption is the 256-bit AES encryption, HTTPS, TLS. So workflow designs that are created using Blueprint are not accessible and visible to Pega or any other partner. So if you're ideating in the example that I gave, if I want to ideate and build out a workflow, nobody can see it. Another partner, a competitor is not
We
going to be
can't
able
see it.
to. Yeah, we ourselves in Pega can't see it. It is stored in Pega Cloud, and it is on lockdown. Now, the partner may, in some cases, want to share that blueprint with their technical teams and their sales teams and the account leadership. To everybody's contributing and ideating on what the solution that they're building out for the customer. Perfectly acceptable. It's only visible to who you share it with.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we should put, the thing that can be seen, and again, not by you and me, but Pega at a high level, only authorized administrators, who again aren't us, we're talking the Trufflers, and I'm imagining a few other folks, they can see the title, right? So if you feel like that title is going to give away something very proprietary that you're doing, then I would suggest you use a title that isn't specific enough for anybody to cause anything that might make you uncomfortable. But the title can be seen by very, very few authorized folks. That's the one thing that can be seen.
Title and the blueprint number. Blueprint numbers are important. My partners have been submitting a lot of opportunities recently through the partner portal for our AEs to assign to opportunities as joint pursuits, if you will. It does require nowadays to include a blueprint number associated with those opportunities that our partners put through. So we do see title, we do see blueprint number, we see that you created one. That's it.
That's great. We can, if anybody has more questions on that, we can direct you to the websites that will give you chapter and verse a lot longer. We only have a few more minutes here to answer, but those are the high salient points of what is important there in terms of security. The other question that came up was we were asked, when it says constructs workflows using best practices, is that Pega's best practice, or is that capturing general and public best practices using AI? And the top of head answer is it's both of those things, actually. But Aaron, I'll let you jump onto that too if you'd like to add to it.
Yeah, so it did capture best. It does both of those, but it also that's out of the box, right? So Blueprint's going to compile the workflow and each step in the workflow and all the sub steps that are associated with that. We take the customer intimacy knowledge, the knowledge we have about our customer, working shoulder to shoulder with them every day, and we know that what their process is, and we can modify as you're going through Blueprint, you can modify the workflow to meet the business needs and solve for the customer's problem the way they need it solved for. So yes, it's using Pega and best practices from industry, But then you get into customer specific best practices, and that's where really the customization of your blueprint becomes so much more powerful when you're looking at using blueprint to RFP and sprint to zero.
Perfect. All right. I think it's important also for us to talk a little bit, and we'll have this on future episodes, but to talk a little bit about the partner branded blueprints. Partner branded blueprints are a way to have just what it says, right? It's going to be branded with your stuff on it. It's going to make it easier for you to show. If anybody has interests in partner branded blueprints, please reach out to your partner manager for your organization. They can set you up on it. It's very easy to set up, and it's really going to help you put presentations in a much better way. Aaron, I'll let you jump in on that if you have comments.
So imagine doing a pre-RFP or ideating with the customer and your account teams for our partner community that's on site with customers day in and day out, working to solve their most pressing business initiatives. How powerful it would be to pull up a branded your organization blueprint and work through customizing that workflow in real time with a customer, and the power of having your brand at the forefront of that solutioning. It's pretty powerful.
And again, it's easy for us to set up for you. There's a few things that we're going to need in the background, but reach out to your partner manager. If you don't know who your partner manager is, reach out to me. I'm happy to set you up with whoever it is, or if it's me, I'll take care of you too. The question that comes in on that, Aaron, this is where partners can upload their branding into Blueprint. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not a question. This is someone giving us the, thanks, Mary, someone giving us the place where they can upload their submissions for that. And if you come to us, we can give that to everybody too when we set you up. One more quick question, Brian, if you're still with us and you want to jump back in.
Yeah, absolutely.
The question came in, how is the Pega frameworks, or how are Pega frameworks purchased in AWS Marketplace? Not sure if this was really already answered is the question.
Yeah, so I think I gave a little bit of context around that. So today, it's a platform workflow automation accelerated listing. In the future, we expect to have sort of the strategic applications, CS, SA, CDH, in an accelerated type of listing available as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, so here we're hitting the top of the hour. That brings us to the end of another Pega Partner Hour. I've got to tell you, please, if you see these guys, thank them. I want to give a great thank you to Brian and Aaron. Fantastic information, fantastic job. A great job on this AWS edition. Also, as always, a special thanks to my man, John Lynch, behind the scenes. We'll see you next on October 10th, back to our regularly scheduled second Friday of the month. It's going to be this one you really don't want to miss. I need everybody to be on this one. We're going to be having a conversation with our global head of partner ecosystem, the man, Mr. Dan Kaysen. So please make sure you show up, bring your questions. If you see us before then, please stop us and say hello. Until then, sell and be well. Thank you very much for joining. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.